Hi, my name's Stephen from Zebra, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the NS42 to you. NS stands for neural sensor, as we have a dedicated neural processing unit, or NPU, to run the AI and deep learning tools. The NS42 is a small, fully featured 5 megapixel AI vision sensor with market leading ease of use, and it's cost effective with a really fast ROI. As you can see from its small all-in-one design, it's got built-in lighting and autofocus lens. It's also got industrial communications, programmable high-speed outputs, USB for ease of use, and power over Ethernet. It's tough IP67 design with M12 connectors and high-speed image acquisition up to 60 frames per second. It's also smart. It has autofocus lens and auto setup for the LED lighting. It has a powerful processor capable of running the onboard AI applications. And in terms of footprint, it's designed to be really small out of the box, so it takes up very little space on the shop floor or warehouse, with no need for an external PC or I/O box. So first off, we're going to connect our camera with the USB cable and mount it over our demo plate. If we were using Ethernet, we would need to configure the network or DHCP. So today I'm going to be demonstrating this demo plate. And what this shows is multiple applications that you might find on the shop floor. So we've got finding a feature, we've got reading 2D or 1D barcodes, reading text, counting items, doing some measurements. So all the sort of typical things you'd find on the shop floor. So I'm just going to set that up here underneath the camera, and then I'm going to switch to our software. When it opens up in the Get Started screen, you've got two buttons along the top. You've got Set Up New Device and View Devices. You've also got a history of what you've done previously with this and some more settings on the left-hand side. But I'm just going to click on View Devices. So here, because we've used USB, it's just appeared on the list. And I'm going to click on Manage to go into this camera. Once I'm in the camera screen, you can see all the settings for the camera. I can go to the general settings here where I set the beeper, if it's got an external light. I can go to the communication settings. So if I was using industrial Ethernet, all the settings would be here. I've got the digital I/O setups and the licensing, but because we're using USB, I can just jump straight to new job. I need to give the job a name and a note so I can find that again. So click on Create Job. So we're now in the job screen, and this is split up into three areas. We've got capture, build, and connect. So capture is getting a good image. So what I have here is the sensor settings. I've got the triggers. So what I want to do is just set that to test trigger because I'm doing a demonstration, and the mode, so periodic single shot. And then I can go to the acquisition settings. So here I can configure the focus and the lights. But actually what I want to do is just to click on the auto tune and allow that to go through the different focus steps and the different lighting until it gets a good image. So that's completed successfully. You can see on the right hand side I've got a nice sharp image of what I wanted to look at. I can go in and manually adjust things if I wanted to, but I'm quite happy with that. So I'm now going to jump to the build section in the middle there. And then here, this is where I put down the inspections that I want to do. So if we imagine that this is a part that's coming down a conveyor and it could arrive in slightly different orientations, what I want to do is just put a location tool down to find that part. One of the advantages of the software is I can just draw around the part that I want to inspect, and it will come up with a recommendation of the tools that I can use. So here I'm going to locate the object, and you can see this has now gone green. This is tracking that. So as this arrives, it's going to find that and then position all the rest of my tools. So the next thing I want to do is to read those barcodes that are there. So same as before, I'm just going to draw around the barcodes, and then I'm going to find the barcode tool. So I click on read barcode. Now you can see straight away it's highlighted one of them in blue. It's reading the 2D code, but it's not reading the second code, and I want to read both. So what I want to do is to turn on many code, And as soon as I do that, you'll see that both of the codes have now gone blue. It's reading both of them. And I want to tell it that it should always find two codes to pass. So it needs to find both of them to work correctly. So the next thing I want to do is read the text that's there. So I'm going to draw around this text at the bottom. And then I'm going to find our OCR tool. Now this is our deep learning OCR tool. And this has been trained on over 10,000 fonts so that I don't need to tell it what font I'm using or to train a font. All I need to do is draw around what I want and then set the height. So I'm just going to adjust this to 100. And now you can see that it's all gone blue. It's reading that text correctly. Now I want to make sure that all of the ones that I inspect have the same text. So I'm going to go to the string match and I'm going to turn that on with exact string. And then I'm going to click on the last read and that fills in the text for me automatically. So it's now going to make sure that it says serial and the number on each one that it inspects. The next tool that I want to put down is to count these items on the left-hand side. Now we call these blobs, but they could be anything. They could be screws, they could be parcels. So again, I'm just going to draw around those blobs and then I'll find the count blob tool. Now you can see straight away it's found 2 of those in purple, but I want to count all 8. The reason it's found those is because it's set to black at the moment. So I'm going to set that to white and straight away it's found all 8. Now I want it to find a maximum of 8 each time. So I'm going to set my limits. I'm going to come in here and set that maximum of 8. And that's going to make sure that that's got 8 items there every single time. So the next thing I want to do, I'm just going to remove some of the tools to make it more clear. I want to measure this feature on the right hand side. So again, I'm going to drop down a tool and I'm going to drop down an edge tool here. So this is going to find an edge and then I can measure between it. So I want to locate an edge. You can see that's instantly gone red and there's an arrow from left to right. I need to change that so that it's top to bottom. And I just need to tweak a couple of the settings just to make it a bit more stable. Once I'm happy with that, I now need to put one at the bottom to measure between. Now I could create another tool, or I can just go to copy and then drag that copied tool down to the bottom. And that's finding the edge at the bottom. Now you notice the arrows from top to bottom. So I just want to change that to be bottom to top. Now I've got 2 edges. What I can do is go and drop a distance tool in. And then with my distance tool, what I want to do is select edge 1 and the other edge, edge 2. And then you can see that's now measuring from top to bottom. Now at the moment it's measuring pixels, which doesn't really mean anything. So what I want to do is just give it a quick calibration. And what I'm going to do is I've measured this part so that I know that that's 59.93 millimeters. So I'm just going to apply that. And now it's giving me an output in millimeters. So every time it reads that, it'll give me a millimeter output from that. Another thing I can do, I could measure the circle that's there. So I want to drop a circle diameter tool down. And just drag that over my circle that I want to measure. And now you can see that's measuring the circle there. Same as before, I can go in and I can give it real world values so that it's now giving me millimeters out. A couple of other things we could do. I can do a defect detection. So if there was anything on there out of the ordinary, like a scuff or a damage. So what I'm going to do is just draw around the logo again. And then if I go down to the bottom, I can put the flaw detection edges tool on. Now with this tool, you do need to train it. So if I just click on the capture button, that's now trained the logo in. If anything changes there, any additional edges are found or anything like that, it'll flag that up as a defect. So I've now created my find the part, reading the 1D and 2D codes, reading the text, counting the features on the left hand side, and doing a couple of measurements as well as the flaw detection. So I'm happy with that. I can now go to the deploy and click on my trigger, and you'll see it come up and it should be passing and failing correctly. So at the moment it's passing. If I cover up one of the characters in the text, you can see that that now fails because it's not the string that it was told to find. If I cover one of the barcodes up, that tool will go red because it now can't read two barcodes. If I cover one of the blobs up, that's not counting 8, that will fail. And if I cover the logo slightly, you'll see it detects that defect and stops that reading. If I put something over the text, some additional text, you can see here it reads the zebra, but because it's not the serial number that it was told to find, it's still failing that part. So once you're happy with that, you could then go to the connect section and configure the communications, whatever you wanted to communicate to. One thing that the software also does is it creates a web page. So if I go back to the devices and click on the IP address, you can see that we've now got a web page that's showing the live data from the camera. So I can see the pass-fail results, I can see how much of the CPU is being used, and I can go to a live monitoring screen and see exactly what the output from the camera is. So really useful for operators just to see what's going on with the camera. So what we've got here, fully featured AI smart vision sensor, which is class leading, ease of use in one small package, and it's got a really fast return on investment. So thank you very much. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask.